I was looking back at some old episodes of Comedy Centered from last year and like right around my birthday and stuff. And God, I was optimistic. Man, I had so much hope in my eyes. So a lot of crap has happened. You know, I didn't mean to neglect Comedy Centered, but previously when I started recording and sharing this, it was because I was in partnership with an app called Cadre. And I am not partnered with them anymore. No, they didn't do anything wrong or anything like that. But, you know, the internet scares me. I have a healthy respect for it, and it's an ocean. And you don't always know what's in there. And you don't always know... you know, whether the fish are hungry. So I felt, you know, I mean, I'm, you know, beat up, not actually, you know, assaulted. I just felt like shoo, you know, it was kind of coming from every direction. So I have not done a lot as far as video content. I still, you know, kind of speak my mind about stuff like that. But I've been sticking to, which is strange, but I've actually reverted back to basically only doing texts with like photos or like sources and things like that. I've shared in previous episodes, and if you're new to Comedy Centered, maybe the algorithm, you stumbled in here, hello, welcome. I'm a comedian, late to the party, late diagnosis, neurodivergent, attention deficit disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, a little smidge of an eating disorder. There's a lot of fun stuff, you know. But just I kind of unpack. What I do is I try to use my sense of humor to really just discuss why people do what they do. Like, I'm not here to report the news. I can't handle it. Even if I keep the topic on pop culture and psychology, and I think I'm framing it that way, if you get anywhere even close to politics, sometimes people take it the wrong way. And we're going to do an episode about that too. Actually, I've got one that kind of touches on it, called why you really can't change anybody's mind. And that's a few episodes back. But Scopophobia is it's not a disease. It's a condition. And scopophobia is a condition that I have. And it's something that comes and goes, but it is a fear of being seen, a fear of being perceived. And it stems from, you know, an injury wound, an ego wound. And it's really a fear of judgment. You fear judgment. And if you have ever felt like all of a sudden the world's all against you, and maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but that's not the point. Because of my complex post-traumatic stress disorder, when I become dysregulated and I get really upset, all conspiracies are possible. Like, I mean, you know, like the world, I mean, anyway. Could people always be like trying to mess with me or whatever? Possibly, but likely I always have to like do my own gut check. Like, is your imagination running away with you, or are there actual concrete facts for you to be upset about this? Anyway, but scopophobia, it comes and goes. And I think as a performer, you talk about stage fright, that's scopophobia. You're afraid. You want to do the show. You want to perform. You want to get the praise. But you're paralyzed because you're so stuck in the judgment that could come. And, you know, isolating, you know, avoiding going out, avoiding performing, avoiding doing things like this, things I enjoy doing. But I had to take a break. I couldn't go into the comments section. I didn't feel like defending my points. You know, it feels like it's just a hair trigger on anything, on any topic. And, you know, so when I'm doing that, like when I post something, I mean, I understand. I'm doing snake handling, basically. And, God, I wish I remember the name of the movie now. dang it, neurodivergent moment. We're going to take a side quest, but there is a great documentary, and I saw it on like Tubi or one of the free ones, but it's about like a family and a lineage of snake handlers and how they actually do handle snakes, and how that is part of this like religious tradition in a certain part of America, and you know, they're talking and they're like, well, you know, when you do that, I mean, like, do people die? And they're like, well, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's an extreme metaphor to use, or analogy to use towards like Facebook and putting stuff out there, but you are. Like, if you put yourself out there in any way, right? If you want to stand out in any new and interesting way, or share your opinion, or put your face and all that stuff out there, you know, you don't know how that's going to come back. It's, you know, politicians and television shows and movies, they have lots of, they have test audiences, and then they do polling, and they figure out what do people like, what do people not like. You don't know. It's the Wild West out here. You don't know. You don't know what people are going to like. But it's so easy to not like something. You know, it's so easy to just like stay in dislike, right? And so the scopophobia really kicked in hard. I was becoming increasingly frustrated about the conversations we were having locally here during this winter that was really, really rough. And, you know, I just kind of just felt like, yeah, you know, I'm fine. I'm fine for a while. You know, on one hand, I can't lie and say, oh, I don't want to, you know, it's going to sound strange, and I'm going to sound like I'm bullshitting, and maybe people will think I am, and it doesn't matter. But honestly, I've never craved fame. It actually terrifies me, because even though I never had the language for it until I started really working on unpacking in the last 3-4 years what this diagnosis means, it's lined up, and it just started that I wanted to stop drinking all the time. I was drinking too much, you know, and I was drinking too much before the pandemic too, but I'd always had kind of a goofy relationship with it, and got, you know, introduced to it too young and things like that. Anyway, but that's where I started down this road, and then when I found out there was mental health reasons behind it, and then that was why I was overusing alcohol. Not to say it's alcohol, you know what I mean? Not to shift blame off myself, because I have to own it, but I was using it as a solution, you know, and it only works for so long as a solution, right? So, you know, and I've in this time since, it's like, I go like all 30 days, and then, I don't know, like, and I'll drink. And, you know, this has been an on and off kind of deal like that ever for the last 4 years, like, where I'm really, really good. And what's strange is oftentimes it's not like on the really bad days when I'm in a really bad mood, or I'm really sad or something like that, and something's really, really bothering me, I actually don't crave it. I don't even want it. What's hard is when I'm in a good mood. You know what would make this good mood even better? And it won't necessarily. I mean, it might feel good for the minute or whatever. And, you know, you feel so guilty when you set like a goal for yourself. Like, I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to nail this. Like, no problem. And then you fall, right? And then you're like, ugh, I can't trust myself. Well, but you know, I use alcohol as a solution since I was a teenager. So, you know, the idea that all of a sudden there's going to be one grave enough instance, or you're going to hit this magical rock bottom, and then that's it, right? You're cured. Or, yeah, I mean, like, we see it in movies, like, it was, you know, he had a white knuckle and it was hard, but, you know, of course, you know, they always make it look a lot easier and a lot more like a straight line than it usually is. And, you know, there are people that find success that way, and they can have continued sobriety for 20, 30 plus years. They hit their stride and they stay on it, and that's fantastic. But what I don't like about the rigidity of something like that is that oftentimes these recovery groups are not really accepting of people if they have a relapse more than once or twice. Then they say you're not serious and we're not going to waste resources on you, and you can't come anymore. And that you know, you already have, like, for someone like me, I already have fear judgment, I already have the scopophobia. You're going to some small group, you know, and then you're honest and vulnerable and sharing with these people that you do not know. And then, you know, you screw up and you break your contract with yourself. And when I say screw up, I mean, it's, you know, it's relative. I mean, shame is purposeful, because when we feel shame and we feel ashamed inside, it's our internal, and biologically connected as well. But humans have shame, and it's built in. And the reason why is because social norms need to be maintained so that groups can continue to exist, right? Like, you go and you share and you're vulnerable and whatever, and then you come in and you're like, oh man, I screwed up, like, you know, something happened or whatever, and I screwed up, and I went back to my old coping mechanisms, and you know, I had, in those terms, I had a relapse, right? Again, like, they might accept it the first time, but if you relapse again, like, literally, like, you're kind of out. And that's not, to me, you're going to help far more people, I think, with this other attitude where it's like, all right, so you did that. That was a decision you made. Let's walk back 15 minutes before you actually put the drink to your lips. What was happening? What was happening? You know, was it grief? Was it loneliness? Was it boredom? Boredom is a big trigger for me. Being bored. Being happy and being bored. Those are big triggers. But, yeah, I mean, so I log what I do, you know, and I look at what progress I've made in the last 4 years and trying to undo this pattern of, and it's not like I would binge drink all the time and overdrink all the time, but as I got older, I found myself relying on it more. And that was because my life was getting harder. It was getting harder because, fun fact, the older you get, it gets harder. The decisions we make are more crucial. And also, you know, using alcohol regularly, you know, it's not good. It's not a substance our body's supposed to have. And it warps everything and it throws off all your hormones and all that stuff. But at that time too, anyway. So, but from 4 years ago, I was probably consuming, I know I was drinking 6 days a week. Not necessarily getting, like, drunk or blacked out or, like, you know, but often it would be one night, a bottle. I would buy 2 bottles at a time and 2 packs of cigarettes. So you want to party, right? And I would say in my mind that that's going to be a 2-day supply. And sometimes it was. Sometimes it wasn't. But it used to be like when I first, you know, after I had, my marriage ended and I moved out on my own, what I started to notice was I was doing like a bottle and a half the first night, smoking a pack and a half of cigarettes. And then the next day, I would moderate by not allowing myself to buy more cigarettes or more wine for that day. But then, the third day, I could do it again. Right? So, that's not a very good way to moderate. But you have to start somewhere. And the odds that you're going to be able to get it and nail it the first try you start walking away from it, because alcohol permeates absolutely almost every social circumstance possible. Shit, they sell it, they serve it at church. I'm Catholic. You get wine. You get it in the morning. You get an eye opener here. You know, I don't think the Lutherans do that, but I think you get grape juice or something. But you know, yeah, I don't know. So I'm proud of myself, and I'm going to say I'm proud of myself, and I'm going to let perfection go. I'm going to let perfection go. But also, too, I am rebellious by nature. And I am a very frustrated people pleaser. And I, sometimes I just feel like, fuck it. I mean, I have a whole, you know, and it's, you know, I have a, what I'd like to say is, my evil twin. I don't know if she's even evil. She's just I have an authoritarian who lives in my head. I've nicknamed her Patricia. I've spoken of Patricia before. She's a bitch. She's like a high-powered CEO in a pantsuit, bossing everybody around, demanding her double mocha extra hot latte, you know? But she handles shit. I'm the messy one. Tiffany, Rue, I'm the messy one. I'm the mess. And then, you know, then I really mess up and then Patricia comes in. I really don't have multiple personalities or, you know, split personality. But it's metaphorically the judgmental me that sits inside my head and like screams at me to be like more perfect and all that kind of stuff. But she's been really loud lately. The scopophobia has been really loud. The arguing on social media has been really loud. Everything that's going on is really overwhelming, and it feels like, you know, as I'm filming this right now, it's Saturday night, May 23rd, Memorial Day weekend, and there was fire. There was, you know, outside the White House just like an hour ago. It doesn't look like anybody was hurt. It looks like people have got they've got it locked down, and the Secret Service is like, you know, handled it. And that's what I have to measure too, is because sometimes like how much is the CPTSD? How much is my, you know, anxiety being affected by that, and how much of this is actually pretty rational, right? And I'm trying to balance that. I don't like to be alarmist to myself or others, because there's enough stuff, you know. I mean, what's happened in the last year and a half of this administration, I'm not going into the water. I'm not getting in trouble this time, but I'll just say it's touched absolutely almost every single cornerstone of our country, and like every department and division of government. And this is an untested experiment that they're doing on a live patient without experience in surgery. It's basically what's happening to us right now. So I'm trying to keep myself centered, you know, and part of why I'm recording this right now is because I'm not going to drink tonight, but I feel like it. I feel like it a lot. I'm having a craving right now. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's a Saturday night. I mean, the weather's not great, but it's not terrible. It's nice for Minnesota. I mean, other people will be like, what are you talking about? It's gray. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like 68 and gray. So, yeah, that's pretty good. But, you know, I'm like, and, you know, I'm bored. And I'm bored. And I'm not, you know, I'm being intentional about not dating at this point. It's hard. Maybe I'll find out in my life review that I've already met the right guy and I screwed it up. That wouldn't surprise me. I've met me. I can screw up a ham sandwich, pretty sure. Also, part of it is the rebellious streak too. I don't even know if I am at a point yet where I can give anybody sincerely a fair shot, because until I kind of work through my crap and stuff, right? But I don't want to just keep going around, you know, dumping it on other people, you know, and not figuring it out, because, you know, I'm an adult. You know, I can't control the world around me. I can't control the people around me, but I can, if I try, I can control myself. But, you know, it when I feel dysregulated, and part of why I'm having this craving is because I saw that story about what just happened outside the, and that's what I'm like, are they going to put us on lockdown? I mean, what's going to happen next? Like, it's just also, anyway, and, I there's no one here. It's not like there's anybody I have to tell, and it's not like I would get caught, but it's for me to do that and run to the store real quick, right? I wouldn't have recorded this. I already am feeling better. Even though I'm really sharing this, I'm just recording this and no one can see it. I feel better just saying it out loud. It's kind of like confessional, but then I don't have to hear what the priest says, and then I don't have to do the rosaries after, which is great, because I'm not doing it. But when I'm emotionally dysregulated, when I get scared like that, when things like that happen, when there's that kind of stuff, it will not help. It will not help my anxiety to make that choice. I feel like I'm coming back to life a little bit, and then I can handle the scopophobia again. But it's scary. It's scary to put your face out there. It's scary to give opinions. I try to come to these things with light and love. I really do. I try to come to it with empathy and be like, if it's, I can't relate to everybody's situation and everybody's experience, but, I can usually relate to what it feels like to be alone and scared, and trying to make yourself change and trying to believe in yourself that you can. I can relate a lot to that. And, and maybe you're just listening to this because you just found out yourself that you're neurodivergent, or maybe there's something going on with you that was never really brought to light and you didn't find out until middle age. Well, I better late than never, though, I say. I'd rather know, I'd rather understand myself better, because then at least if I can understand why I have the cravings, if I can intellectually and emotionally mature enough to stop a minute before I actually make any kind of a decision one way or another like that, and go, well, what's really cooking here? Where did that come from? What are you really upset about? What are you really upset about? Because alcohol is a solution. It's an exit vehicle. It's a getaway car. See your problems? Honk, honk. I'll see you tomorrow. Except I'm going to come back. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be more tired than today, and I'm definitely not going to want to see my problems tomorrow. So at 4 o'clock, when my alcohol Uber arrives, honk, honk, bye. See ya. I don't really mean an alcohol Uber. They don't really, that's not a thing. Anyway, but metaphorically speaking, and so, yeah, I was feeling FOMO. I did the bad thing and was scrolling on social media, and people like picnics and and whatever. And but I've done good. I've done well in the last year, but it was really hard. I went hard on isolating. I didn't do hardly anything socially, and I was just really, really close friends and pretty low key situations. I was, but I've been going back out and doing a little bit of stand up here and there in this winter, but I'm still not 100% back. There's shows where I feel very, very comfortable and very, very confident, but there's several of them that I've had where my fucking boots were shaking before I had to get up there, and doing it, performing without alcohol, it's different, for me. The positive is I remember my jokes better often, right? The negative is, if I'm being honest, I'm more hypercritical. I'm more in my head. And honestly, as a salesperson, I don't feel like I sell it as well. And maybe this is just my perception, but I record my sets and I watch them, but I can see, obviously there's differences between those sets. And sometimes on a set, if I've had a drink before or two, like if it's the second show, I see my tape back and there's a sweet spot. And sometimes it's great. But there's sometimes where I'll go off in left field. I don't stay on track with my neurodivergence. And I have a natural, it's a bad habit I have. It's a bad habit that I have. And it's part of radio, and also because before I did stand-up, I did improv. And I will ad-lib. I will go off topic. I will go off and sometimes it works, but you're not testing the material. And sometimes it doesn't. And then if it doesn't, then I've got to go back to the material I abandoned. And now I'm trying to stitch this random thought into the material I was trying to do and finish that. And that doesn't usually necessarily work very well. And so that's why in like the last 4 years, I don't have any alcohol at all before I perform. Or there were times where it was literally, I was like, well, I'm drinking for courage. I'm literally, my stage fright, my scopophobia is so intense right now. If I do not allow myself to, I don't want to, this is going to sound bad, but if I don't allow myself to have one cocktail right now, one alcoholic beverage right now, I shouldn't say cocktail because that romanticizes it. If I can't have some ethanol right now before I have to go on stage, I'm going to run away. And I'm the headliner and my face is on the poster. And that sounds dramatic. It sounds like I'm being phony, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't even like the way I'm saying it. It doesn't sound, but it's close. It's close to what I feel like. And if I'm, what it is that, and that's something I've been spending a lot of time too, is because the biggest thing is I'm not really triggered in my house. I'm triggered in comedy clubs. And it makes sense because a lot of anxiety, fear, comedy, people prefer to die than do stand-up or whatever. I shouldn't maybe say that word, but like that's a common analogy, that it's a bigger fear, and that's correct. that is a properly, because another comedian, I think it was Ralphie May, once said it's like signing up for a car accident and when it's going to happen and you signed up for it, like you chose it. And but there are times, like you booked the gig 4 months ago, but the day of maybe was a really rough day, and there are times when my brain is very fast. I don't know. I don't mean it like, I'm so fast, but like it just won't shut up and it won't stop and whatever. And if I'm in a spiral and not a happy thought spiral, it's hard to be on without performance enhancing measures. It is. And it's not impossible, but it is difficult. And I literally have said it. I called it this, and I mean, it's really kind of true, but I drank for courage. I drank for courage to perform. Because I had to not think about what the audience was thinking about me. I had to let my scopophobia go away. And what's interesting is that's why in my career I've been infinitely more happy and felt more secure when I was doing radio. It's just my voice. Of course, you could see my picture if you went to like our radio station's website or like watched the live stream, but you were just hearing me. You know, this medium, stand up when you're standing in front of an audience full of people, and I'm the type of person that gets obsessed with micro expressions and nonverbals. I'm literally always trying to read the room, and if my head isn't in a great spot, sometimes I misread. Sometimes I sense, that, I mean, maybe they like it just fine, but I feel like they don't like it. Or, maybe it's, I told this joke 10 times before and they don't like it. And then you get in your head, like I know this works, but it's not working. Nothing works. Oh my God, you're the worst. And there's a great amount of, self-imposed imposter syndrome, because one of the things, of course, we all want to be respected in our field and all that stuff. But as a female comic, I've always, yearned absolutely and craved the approval of male comedians that I respect, and I want to be as good as those guys. I don't want to be regarded as a good female comedian. I just want to be regarded as a good comedian. And I haven't been a good comedian I haven't been the best version of myself in the last 4 years since I've been going through this. And my performance, it's coming back online. I'm starting to get my act together again. But because of everything that's gone on too, like stuff I used to do 4 years ago, I don't even feel like I want to do anymore. Like I've kind of abandoned a lot of my material again and all of that. So, and I kind of abandoned Comedy Center and you guys. So I don't want to abandon things. I needed to take a time out, and I needed to figure out why I was, struggling mental health wise. And, it's on all of us because no one can read each other's minds. I mean, and you wouldn't want them to anyway. You really wouldn't want them to. I don't think. But, so, I don't know. I guess I'll kind of wrap on that, but, hope it helped. It helped me. I feel better. Like now, what time is it now? Yeah, it's 6:51 now. I'm good to go. Now I'm fine. Now I won't drink. And if I drank, I'd forgive myself tomorrow anyway. It wouldn't be the end of the world. That's the point. This is not a zero-sum game, and you can't undo really deep-seated patterns and solutions and tools that you've used for many, many years overnight. And if people can and they have the willpower, good for you. That's fantastic. Here's your prize. Now I'm gonna do it my way if that's all right. This life isn't one size fits all, and we're not all one size, and we're not all one person. But being open about it, expressing when you're struggling, reaching out, and just verbalizing it or writing it down in a journal, just saying stuff out loud, getting it off your chest is really the best. It's really the best. Best thing to help. Doesn't fix your problems, but it lowers your cortisol levels. It reduces the stress hormones in your body. Because once you talk about something and you express it out, it frees up the brain to go, okay, well, now what? Now, what's next? What's next, And what's next? So I've got some exciting stuff planned coming up for you guys here for Comedy Centered. Don't want to talk about it too soon yet, but in the works. And hopefully I haven't posted anything in like 3 months, so hopefully everybody isn't like, who's this? I don't remember subscribing to her. Unsubscribe. But again, if you want to go through any past episodes, if you're interested in learning more about how a comedian goes through finding out that, yes, they could have had a better childhood. Finding out at 50 years old that, no, clinically, yeah, you really clinically were the weird kid. Anyway, so remember, there's only one you.